So let's try to add 4 upper body length moves now that you know how to do the neck turn and the single arm reach. And let's create one big sequence using all of those techniques and being more swift through our range of motion and see if we can actually enhance more change. So lie on your back with your palms faced up and your arms and legs extended, and use your body sense to see if you've got stuck stress living in the most common areas: the shoulder girdle, the diaphragm, and the pelvis. Remember the 4 common imbalances that many of us have that are left unaddressed from day to day. Let's see if you can quickly scan your body and see if you've got any of the primary common imbalances. Remember, in the upper body, we want to notice if all of our upper back weight is resting on the shoulder girdle rather than having the mid-rib wall around the bra line as the most weighted region of the torso. That would be ideal. Just notice the contrast in where you feel the weight of your torso. You could also take the moment to also notice your arm position, your head, and also the shape of your neck. The second most common imbalance is feeling like you've got a big arch in your back. Just notice if you've got the nice distinctive low back space from the navel to the top of the pelvis, or if you're feeling a big wailing arch in the mid-back showing stuck stress in the diaphragm. And then also use your body sense and scan the lower body. Remember that if we have a lot of stuck stress in the pelvis, instead of feeling like you're weighted on 2 evenly weighted butt cheeks, you'll feel more your tailbone on the ground. The back of the thighs might feel lifted off the floor instead of the ideally weighted masses of the back of the thighs. Also scan down the rest of your legs. Notice how the positioning of your masses and spaces are on the lower body, and also your feet. Do they feel like they're ideally lifted so the toes feel like they're pointing towards where the ceiling meets the wall, like a letter V, or are your feet feeling a little offset from left to right? Take a focused breath and also notice your autopilot. Do you feel balanced from left to right, or are you feeling autopilot inefficiency, leaving you feeling more weighted on one side? Take a nice focused breath, and when you're ready, I want you to bend your knees, turn yourself on your side, and come up to sitting, and let's try to do all of the moves of the upper body length sequence and combine this as a full sequence. So once you come up onto the roller, touch the top of your head, make sure that you're fully on the roller, and you guys will begin with your gentle rocking. Remember, gentle rocking is a reconnect technique. It's a way to help the autopilot reacquire its connection to your center of gravity by challenging your balance on the unstable surface. You're also giving your body time to adapt to the pressure on your spine. Take a nice focused breath, come back to a center point. Check your pelvic positioning by just doing a few tuck and tilts. Just place your hands on the front of your pelvis and just gently tuck and tilt your pelvis. And just ensure that you're not going to be tucking your pelvis, flattening your low back, or over-exaggerating a tilt where your ribs come with you. Find a place where your ribs can remain heavy, and find a place between your tuck and your tilt to sustain your neutral pelvis. Then try your shoulder blade reach. Bring your arms straight up into the air, and instead of having your arms straight up over your shoulder blades, I want you to just angle your arms down a little bit so that you get the most glide you can, and begin to reach your fingertips up toward the ceiling, and then allow the skeletal weight of your shoulder girdle to sink along the side of the roller. And I want you to just continue to glide the girdle along the ribs. Now you can notice some common imbalances here is feeling like one shoulder blade is edging up into the roller, or you're feeling like there's not a smooth glide ability of the blades. Just notice if you're having any of those restrictions in the girdle before we do these other techniques. Try one more time, reaching the arms up, and then this time allow the shoulder girdle to sink along the side of the roller, and let's try single arm reach. You're going to begin to bring one arm almost overhead. You're going to stop once the arm reaches about the level of the forehead, and then once you're here, the other arm is going to come down to your hip, staying above the level of the hip bone. And then you just swap sides. You just continue to move. Now, although Edya could bring her arms much further, she could bring her arms all the way down, the ribs would have to displace. So the single arm reach is really a way to identify ideal range of motion of the glenohumeral joint, just the shoulder joint, which is just 120 degrees of range. Once we bring the arm well overhead, we've actually displaced the shoulder girdle quite significantly to create that big range of motion. So you should be able to create this movement either with your thumbs leading the motion, or you could turn your palms down and let the back of the hands lead the motion, or you could turn your palms outward and let the pinkies lead the motion. Now ideally you can create these ranges without any clicking, popping, snapping, crunching, or thunking going on in the shoulder girdle. And if you feel any clicking or popping in the joints themselves, you want to slow down or shorten your range of motion. Then bring your arms back to that first position, and let's try your double arm reach. Now that you know the position, just try to bring your arms out to the sides. And once you get here, the tendency is when your arms come out is that the arms are going to want to be more right across the shoulder girdle. So as soon as you bring your arms out, always just encourage yourself to just angle the arms down a little bit more and soften the elbows as if you're reaching around a big ball. And then once you're here, again, you're thinking about reaching not only from the sternum but from the spine. You'll begin doing your neural flossing, just like as if you're tossing a ball and catching it, or you're throwing a ball over a rainbow, kind of catching it from hand to hand. And remember, you can do this with your palms open, or you could make fists with your palms up. Or you could turn your palms face down with your palms open. Or again, you could make fists. And you want to notice when you make fists, you might actually feel like the tug ends up more to the retinacular tissue around the wrist. It's a great way to hydrate the tissue in the arms without getting overly invasive and trying to go through big ranges with pressure like you would to stretch your wrist itself. So bring your arms back open, take a nice focused breath here, really reaching fingertips end to end, and then bring your arms down along the side of the roller, and let's try the neck turn. Now with the neck turn, the chin is always going to stay away from the collarbones. And think if you want to use your eyes, so if Edya looks to the left and then slowly turns her head to the left, she's going to try to increase tension. See how slight she moves to try to increase tensional pull down the right arm. So she's going to reach her right arm so that she's reaching her fingertips towards me as she's slightly turning her head. And here I want you guys to take a couple of nice focused breaths, allowing the breath to actually cause tension in the torso to find more pull in the arms. Then bring your head back to center, take a nice focused breath, and on your exhale, slightly turn your head to the right. And again, you can use your eyes to sort of direct the attention and the angle of the motion. And then same thing, as she slightly has her head turned, she's reaching her fingers in opposition of the cheekbones. So trying to find that tensional pull down the arm lines, not in the neck. Take one more breath in and out, and then return your head back to center. Let's try the same thing, only turn your palms faced up. And again, chin can stay lifted. Take another breath in, and on an exhale, reaching the arm as you slowly turn your head to see if you can find that nice tensional pull clear through the arm line. So remember, if you're doing this right, you won't feel a tremendous pull in the neck, but you might feel it down the arm. And you might even isolate it and feel it in different regions, showing how we can have segmental stiffness in the fascial lines. And then bring your head back to the center, and again, try to turn your head in the opposite direction. So this is really causing tension against the myofascial meridians, causing tensional pull against the arm lines or the fascial sleeve. And then bring your head back to center. So if you want, take your hands just a little bit wider onto the floor and try one more time with the palms face down, remembering to keep your chin lifted as you slightly turn your head so that you're actually trying to acquire tensional pull from the cheekbone all the way down to the fingertips. Take another breath in, and on your exhale, come back to center with your head. Take another breath in, and on an exhale, turn your head to the right. And same thing, try to increase the tension against the left arm. So if you're doing this properly, remember the tensional pull is more over the shoulder and in the arms. You won't feel very much in the neck when you do the neck turn. And then bring your head back to center, turn your palms faced up, and try one more time. And you might also find that as you change the angle of the arm that you actually feel the tensional pull in different places. So just notice where in your arm you feel this pull. You could even think about accentuating the thumb reaching so that you actually get more tensional pull in one side, and then come back to the center and try it on the other side. So remember, you've got 4 fascial arm lines creating the sleeve, so if you slightly angle your thumb away, you might be able to find a little bit more of that deep front arm line coming up from your thumb all the way up into the bicep. And then bring your head back to center. Take one more focused breath here and just allow your whole body to adapt into that position. And then when you're ready, straighten out one of your legs, slide on off the roller, pelvis, ribs, and then your head. And let's reassess just doing those techniques in this sequence. So remember, we pointed out 4 common imbalances when we started. I said if all of your upper back weight feels like it's on the shoulder girdle, notice if you've made any direct changes in the upper body, if the ribs feel more weighted to the ground. I can actually see in Edya, her ribs are much more weighted now than when she started. You could also take the moment here to also turn your head right and left, and also notice if by doing hydration of your shoulder girdle, if that's actually enhanced your ability to turn your head right and left. So make a note of that. If you've made some changes in your neck, that could, your shoulder girdle having stuck stress could be limiting your neck. rotation. And then also notice in the mid-torso, does the curve of your back feel any less extreme or more ideal in the lower part of your torso? The pelvis ideally is more on butt cheeks, and you might even notice the indirect change also of the legs being more weighted to the ground. You might even notice that your legs and the feet are actually presenting themselves in a more ideal position where the toes feel more like they're pointing towards where the ceiling meets the walls rather than so offset. You may also notice a change in the autopilot doing that technique because we did some reconnection to the pelvis. So divide yourself into the left and right half and notice if you feel more balanced from left to right, if we've created any more change in the body. Take a nice focused breath and just notice what you feel.